Now, by the way, when I do a vision story, it's a full page. Okay. I'm just giving you a very micro example. You might say something like, a year from now, I will have two other appraisers working for me. I'll have a VA on the front office, I'll have a VA on the back office, and I'll be utilizing AI to run the routine tasks. Okay. I'll be working 30 hours a week. I'll be taking Fridays through Sundays off, right? And I'll be netting more than $250,000 per year.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
When my wife and I first got a full self-drive Tesla, I have to be honest with you, I had an idea of what it would be like. I had no idea of what it would be like. I had been in a self-drive Tesla before. I'd been in the driver's seat more than once, and it was an amazing experience. And it was one of the things that helped drive my wife and I to make the investment in a Tesla full self-drive vehicle. But once you own one and you start to experience it, you really don't understand it. Let me share with you some of the things that I learned, and then I want to apply those today to your business path, your life path, where it is that you're going. Because for many years as a coach, I've used the analogy of a GPS system, right? A map, if you will, knowing where you are and where it is that you're going. But when you apply that to a computer, AI, a Tesla that's in full self-drive, or any other vehicle, but specifically for me, my experience was with a Tesla. A couple of things that I learned when it comes to Tesla is that it infers what it can and does better with input. Okay, it infers where it can and it does better with input. What do I mean by that, Dustin? Well, when you put a Tesla in a full self-drive mode, the very first thing that you need to do is put in a destination. That's kind of a pain, honestly, because I'm used to just jumping in the car and starting out and driving in the general direction of where I want to go. And then I make choices and my brain works when a car stops in front of me or I'm in a construction zone, or even if everything goes perfectly, I still need to decide when to turn right and when to turn left and when to slow down and when to stop at a stoplight and when to go when the light turns green. When you turn all of that over to a computer that does the driving for you, something changes. What changes is you're able to disengage and allow the process to work. But the key is you have to put the data in first. What do I mean by that? Well, there's two things that a Tesla has to know if it's going to accomplish the task of getting you from point A to point B. The first thing it needs to know is, where is it? What is point A? It needs to know exactly where it sits. The next thing, obviously, is it needs to know where is point B. What does point B look like? Because it can figure out everything between A and B if it has those two things. I tried an experiment during the first week that we had our Tesla full self-drive, and I put it in full self-drive mode, but I did not give it a destination. You can do that. I sat down in the driver's seat. I put my seatbelt on. It won't go without your seatbelt. There's probably a lesson in that as well. And then I hit start full self-drive. And guess what? It did not sit there and say, Dustin, where do you want to go? It started driving. And it drove, and it drove, and it drove. And I kept asking myself, gee, I wonder where in the world you're going. And the Tesla was probably wondering itself, where is it going? Afterwards, I kind of did a little bit of research on Tesla full self-drive mode and asked AI, specifically Grok, go figure, why did it do what it did? And what is the rationale that a Tesla in full self-drive will use when you don't put a destination in, when you simply put go full self-drive. Well, a couple of things came back. It was very interesting because it doesn't just drive randomly. What it does is it infers what you have done in the past and tries on some level to replicate it. Okay. In other words, it might say, for example, the time of day. It's morning time. Dustin typically goes to get coffee at this coffee shop around this time. It might drive to the coffee shop because it might just assume that that's where you're going. Or it might, in general, well, for example, one of the things it really loves is straight lines. Okay. It's not going to turn unless it feels it needs to turn or feels like it needs that you want to turn. Okay. That inference side of things. So in many ways, the Tesla full self-drive without a destination is a lot like what our lizard brains do, right? It's default mode. It's the easy mode. It's the what have you done in the past mode. I'm going to, as your brain, slip into that mode. I think we find ourselves in that mode many, many, many times during the day, right? And by the way, that's not necessarily a bad thing. From evolution, we learn that there are certain things and certain ways that your brain needs to work in order to just survive. We don't when a tiger jumps out of the grass, we don't think, "Gee, there's a tiger. I should probably jump back and to the side to get out of its way." Your brain automatically kicks into the mode that it needs to survive. And folks, accomplishing your day, accomplishing your week, moving throughout your year and yes, your decade follows the exact same pattern because the human brain defaults to easy. The human brain defaults to what it is it's used to, right? What did you do last Sunday morning? You're probably going to, without a plan, slip into that same mode. And the Tesla full self-drive will do the same thing. Yet when you put a destination in, it's going to, and by the way, you put a destination and a mode. Okay, let me explain. I want to go to the bank. Okay, so I type in the bank's name and I hit full self-drive. When we first got our full self-drive, there were 4 different modes that you could put the car in. Chill, standard, hurry, and yes, Mad Max. Let me explain each one briefly. Standard is very what you would think it would be. It's going to follow all of the speed limits. It's going to go the most efficient way. It's going to be very cautious as it drives. Okay, chill, of course, is even more cautious. It's going to go below the speed limit. Think of it as grandma mode. Hurry is where I spend most of my time. I like hurry mode because I'm urgently trying to get somewhere. It'll maybe go a couple miles over the speed limit, right? But not so much that you're going to get a ticket. It's going to be a little bit aggressive, but not so much that you're going to have to change your pants when you get home. Okay. Mad Max, on the other hand, can be a little bit scary. There's been times on Mad Max where I'm thinking, okay, I really hope that I don't run into a cop because I'm like 11 miles over the speed limit right now. And it's just going. Or I'm in the chicken lane and it turns in front of a car that's coming. And I'm like, I never would have made that turn. It made it. It was fine. I'm safe. But that was a little more aggressive than I wanted it to be. Okay. So you've got 2 different things that you're putting in, your destination and your mode. Okay. I think that there's a lesson to be learned here about people, about our brain, about goals, about destinations, and about how quickly or slowly or cautiously that we get there. So when you come to the Appraiser Coach platform, whether you come as a listener to the podcast or you're a member of the All-Star team, the very first thing that you should do is not set goals. And let me explain. Most gurus are going to say to you, set your goals. You got to write down your goals. Okay, what are they? Put them down. Let's say goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3. I don't like goals. Never have. I've pretended to like goals in the past. I've tricked my brain into liking goals in the past, but the honest truth is I don't do well with goals, right? Why? I don't know. Probably because they're goals, right? It feels like a chore. It feels like work. Okay. I'm going to set a goal to go to the gym 5 times a week. Okay. It's a great goal. Don't get me wrong. but it feels like work. It feels like a drag. And come Thursday morning when it's 5:30 in the morning and I want to stay in my warm bed rather than get out and put my shoes on and go out into the cold to get out to the gym to do something that I don't want to do, feels like work. So I don't like goals. What I would encourage instead is to do something similar to the way I understand the Tesla full self-drive mode works. And that is a vision story. Let me explain. When you come to me for private coaching, or whether you're part of the all-star team or what have you, you are going to constantly be reminded about your vision. We're going to come back to that many, many times. I find myself as a coach constantly grabbing individuals who have kind of, maybe swerved off the road a little bit. Okay. Or maybe they're going a different direction, a little bit of a detour. And I say, hold on, John, wait a second. Remember your vision. Where is it that you're going? What is it that you're trying to accomplish here? And I'll find that they'll often say, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, let me refocus. Okay, I was getting off in the weeds. Here's where we're going. Okay. Now, the vision story is a broad and a very, very narrow approach. And that broad and narrow approach has something to do with your timeline. Okay. So, for example, I think in general, you need to have an idea of where you want to be in 10 years. Now, I want to stress, that's why I slowed down on those two words, in general. I disagree with other coaches out there who say that you have to have a long-term, concrete vision of where you're going to be in a decade. Here's why. I think that's a nice thought. To be able to say to somebody, I know where I'm going to be in 10 years, feels good to our brain. The problem is it can be counteracted by the natural and human-like processes that happen in our brain. Because if you set that 10-year vision of where you feel you're going to be in 10 years, I guarantee that it's going to be wrong. Technology is going to be different in 10 years than it is today. Your desires, goals may be different. Your health, your relationships, where you live, what you're doing on a day-to-day are going to be so different in 10 years that you cannot possibly know what that's going to look like. And though some would say, well, that's fine, Dustin, you set your goal and then you tweak it as things change. Again, not a bad idea. But what I find in reality is people get depressed. They get disillusioned. They get frustrated because they had this vision, and because it's going to change so much in the next 10 years, they find themselves going backward. We don't want that to happen. So I think you should have a general idea of where you want to be in 10 years, but that can be fuzzy. That can be out there somewhere. I'm working toward that out there somewhere. I don't think you need to have a concrete idea of what you want to do in 10 years. For example, a great 10-year vision might be, in 10 years, I want to be semi-retired, where the business runs without me. That's it. Very generalized, not a detailed plan. Just in general, that's what I'm working for. I want to be semi-retired. The business basically runs without me. I can take a vacation for a month or 2 or 3 and come back and the business is still thriving, right? That's my 10-year. I'm headed in that direction. Your 2-year vision is much, much different. Okay. 2-year vision can be and should be very concrete. I have individuals who start working with me, whether they join the all-star team or they're working with me privately or they're part of the dream team. I have them sit down and write out. Okay. I'm talking pen and paper. Okay. Physically write out what their 2-year, sometimes 1 year is fine, right? Especially with the way technology is moving, maybe 1 year is even better. Okay. But write down your vision story. And here's the key. It's not a bunch of goals. We talked about goals, my feelings toward goals. It is your vision story, meaning you paint the picture, the story, as if it had already happened. I do this every year. I physically write out with pen and paper. There's something, I don't fully understand the science behind it, but when you translate what's in your brain to your fingers and then onto a piece of paper, something happens, right? I'm not talking about voice to text. I'm not even talking about writing it out on a keyboard. There's something about writing it out on a piece of paper. Now, you can take that piece of paper, and I would encourage you to take a picture of it, put it in AI, and have it translated into a text that you can carry with you. Okay. But the initial process, there's something about writing it down that will embed it into your brain and into your mind and into your heart and soul more than simply thinking through it, voice to texting it, or even typing it down. Okay. But the idea is to have a 1 to 2 year vision as if it had already happened. Write the story. This year, I fill in the blank, right? Granted, some of you are saying, well, Dustin, that sounds like goals. It is, right? But it's not called goals. And it's not written out as goal 1, goal 2, goal 3. It's a general and specific at the same time idea, a vision, if you will, of where you're going, right? For example, now, by the way, when I do a vision story, it's a full page. Okay. I'm just giving you a very micro example. You might say something like, a year from now, I will have 2 other appraisers working for me. I'll have a VA on the front office, I'll have a VA on the back office, and I'll be utilizing AI to run the routine tasks. Okay. I'll be working 30 hours a week. I'll be taking Fridays through Sundays off, right? And I'll be netting more than $250,000 per year. The days that I work, I'll spend 20% doing appraisal work and 80% working on it, not in it. And setting that down as a goal, if you will, as a vision, as a story, allows it to now become concrete because you can go back to that over and over again throughout the year and find out if you are on track. Again, going back to our Tesla full self-drive analogy, right? You're constantly getting orange cones in the road. You are getting stoplights and stop signs and speed limit changes and twists and turns and everything else, right? But ultimately, your vision, where you are going, your destination, is still the same. I want to pause here and remind you that we're sponsored by a couple of great companies, one of them being, well, Working RE Magazine. Working RE is a synopsis, if you will, and sometimes a deep dive, but a synopsis of what is going on in the appraisal world. Folks, you have chosen your career is to be a real estate appraiser. Why not know, without a whole lot of work, what's going on in the real estate appraisal realm? I'm telling you, there's nothing better as far as getting your information than from Working RE Magazine. Sign up for their free newsletter. It comes out on a regular basis into your email for free. You can learn more by going to their website at the workingre.com. It's again www.workingre.com. TrueTracks allows you to be able to support your adjustments. Folks, who doesn't want that? Can you imagine if you felt solid about every single report that you do? And if the state comes calling, if that lawsuit comes, even if you have a lender or an AMC come back and say, hey, where did you get that adjustment? You're not scrambling and going, oh my gosh, okay, honestly, I kind of made it up, but I mean, maybe I can cobble something together, to answer their question. How about you just go to your work file, you jump in there and you find the TrueTracks printout that you did and give that to them. Folks, it's that easy. It's that simple, and it's that supportive of what you're doing anyway. Check it out by going to truefootage.tech/tools. Again, it's truefootage.tech/tools. I want to come back to this analogy of the Tesla full self-drive because I think we need to be aware of where we are currently and what brought you here to the Appraiser Coach, whether you're a listener of the podcast or you just signed up for the All-Star team or you are a member of the Dream Team or you're taking personal coaching. Again, the idea that full self-drive only works with those 2 inputs can be applied now to you and your journey, right? Where are you? Why is it that you're here? This big why, right? Be honest about that. Why are you here? And I'm not just talking about why are you here in the appraiser coach environment. I'm saying, why are you here? Whatever here means. Ask yourself honestly, where are you and why are you here? When we did our first Elevate retreat in 2025, the word that we focused on for 3 full days of deep, deep contemplation and growth, personal growth, business growth, relationship growth, financial growth. It all came back to one word, and that word had 3 letters, and those letters were you, each, and why. You need to honestly assess why it is that you're a real estate appraiser. Why is it that you're making whatever you're making per year? Why is it that you have the office setup that you do? Why do you have a brick and mortar? Why do you have a work from home? Why do you have the computer system you set up? Why are you using the software? What about the SOPs that you're using? Why? And there's a big why as well, right? The big why, the capital WHY, right, is the general idea of why you do what you do. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What is your motivation? What is your mission in life? What is your passion, right? Once you can answer that, then you have the A, right? From A to B, if you're going for a destination, mapping out from A to B, you now have the A. You know where you are. The second step is to type in your destination. That's your vision story. That's where you're going, right? That's not the pathway to get there, not the difficulties and challenges that you're going to experience along the way, right? Let the Tesla full self-drive do that part. You need to know where you are. You need to know where you're going. Once those 2 inputs are put in, folks, you really do kind of go on auto mode. And I mean that. I've worked with people for many, many years, appraisers who are here and want to be here. And they come to me and they say, Dustin, I joined your all-star team because I want to make more money, or I want to work less. I'm working 70 hours a week right now. I don't have much of a life. I can't take a vacation because if I do, everything falls apart. Okay. We're always going to start with your vision. Okay, let's talk about why you're here. Let's talk about where you are. Let's talk about the A. Now, let's move into the vision story. So, my encouragement today, my friends, if you get nothing else out of this, it's to sometime this week, take a pen, take a piece of paper, go to some place where you cannot be disturbed. Get rid of your laptop. Get rid of your phone. Put it in the other room. Get rid of your people that are around you, whether that be a significant other, your children, your pets, what have you. Find a place where you can be isolated. All you want is that pen, that paper, and your brain. I want you to write down A, why you're here. What is your current situation? And why are you here? Step number 2, and this is the important one, write out your vision story. Give it a general 10-year down the road, but then get more granular, get more specific on where you're going. What is your destination for the next year? I promise you, if you will do that, you will be successful. The getting from here to there is easy. I can help you as a coach do that, right? You can help yourself do that. As long as you constantly keep in mind where you've been and where you're going.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.